Thank you so much for coming here. I was just saying we're very excited to have you.
Oh, good. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So just to start, congratulations on the World Cup victory last year. Can you just talk us through the emotions in the final when you fielded the last ball of the Super Over?
I'll try. Not quite hit home just yet, weirdly, but it was just, I think it was accumulation of things. I think because we'd been together for 4 years as a squad, and bar a couple of people that were missing, it was pretty much the same people that went through the whole thing. So I think that added a lot to the emotions of it. The following days, not so much the day after because we were too hungover to even think, but days after that we were just sitting down for a coffee and just chatting about how ridiculous it is. No one can still quite believe it. Just an amazing feeling.
And 2019 was obviously a great year for the English team with both the World Cup win and the competitive Ashes series. What do you think stood out in particular about the team's performance that made it England's first World Cup win?
I think the way we dealt with the expectation was massive for us. We spoke about at the start of the tournament what was probably going to come about during the tournament if we lost a couple of games or if we were on a streak. Like the English media most of the time do, they are very quick to jump down your throat when you mess up. So, and that happened. There was a few things flying about us choking. Obviously, being the number one team leading into the tournament, there was that expectations to just go and win it. I mean, you're number one team in the world, you should win. So that was good that we kind of identified what could kind of falter us. But yeah, and I think it was just kind of sticking to our guns, basically. We didn't change a huge amount, we just kept playing the way we play.
And did you have any moments where you sort of thought that, it was over and you were about to give up? And if you did, how did you get past that?
As in my career or during the tournament? Or
I was talking about the tournament, but both, I guess.
The tournament, no, never. I think 2 years before that, there was a Champions Trophy competition tournament, and I'd been working extremely hard to build towards that. And I went to the IPL, and the tournament was just after the IPL. And I remember coming back and mentally being a bit shattered, and played the first couple of games in the Champions Trophy and then got dropped. And working hard and for years and years and years, and then coming into a big tournament that I've been working for and being dropped was huge. So this time round, didn't go to the IPL, made sure I looked after myself before the World Cup, and then there's no chance. Even if I had a couple of hiccups, I was always wanting to play.
And then just looking at your wider career, are there any matches that stand out as particularly memorable or sort of your favourite ones to look back on?
Oh, there's quite a few. We're just lucky enough in our team to have the performances we have. I mean, the players we've got, they're just eye-catching, aren't they? So there's too many games to probably single out. Too many.
And then, like with any sport, cricket is obviously as much a mental game as it is physical. Are there any instances where the mental aspect of the game came to the fore that you can think of, and how did you respond to that?
Yeah, without getting too emotional, I'll try. Definitely a couple of times in my career where I've thought about walking away from the game. It's something that I've never really spoken about, so you're welcome. Thinking of walking away from the game, and just thinking to myself, especially at the start of my career, I felt that I wasn't where I was meant to be. I felt like a bit of an imposter for the first few games, and I remember saying, like, I'm just not good enough, and maybe I'm just gonna be a very good counter cricketer. There's nothing wrong with that. Be a good counter cricketer, and that'll be my career. And I remember my girlfriend back then, but my wife now, saying to me, like, get yourself together, like, grow up, you'll be fine. I was like, oh, bloody hell, all right, yeah, sweet. Easy enough for you, isn't it? Yeah, I'll go in front of 30,000 people and get a duck. But and I did, and then worked hard, and I think that was a good turning point. And then again, that Champions Trophy was a massive thing for me as well, being dropped then. You have a moment where you're just like, I just haven't quite got it in big tournaments. But then again, went back to the kitchen where my wife told me, pull myself together, and was like, okay, pull myself together, train hard, worked hard, and just worked harder and harder and harder, netted for longer and longer and longer, until Graham Thorpe was basically like, just stop training, like that's enough now. And things worked out. But there's definitely moments in my career where it's been mentally extremely tough.
And then just looking over the other memorable moments in your career, you hold the record for the highest ODI score by an England batsman. Can you talk us a bit through the innings of 180 at the MCG?
Every single ball.
Just like the general feel.
I don't remember every single ball, but I remember 2 days before, the day before, walking in there into the ground, the MCG, and it's the first time I've been there. And it was just like a coliseum. I mean, I can't remember what the capacity there is. It's got to be over 80,000 people. And I walked in and I was just like, there's no way I can play at this ground. This is ridiculous. I think it was the first game of our series, and I was just blown away by the kind of the whole history of the ground and everything like that. And went out there and didn't have any preconceived ideas. I just thought to myself, I'm so fortunate to be playing at this ground. This is amazing. England against Australia, like this is incredible. And then next minute we've chased down 300 or whatever it was, and I've got 180, and it was just like, it was a pinch. It was definitely a pinch yourself moment.
And then you grew up in South Africa until you were 10, and then moved to England. Both are very strong countries in terms of cricket. Yeah. Was there anything in particular that drew you to the game?
England's stronger than South Africa. No, not a huge amount, to be honest. I was just speaking upstairs to a few of the guys and girls. It was very much rugby orientated, rugby, surfing, swimming, and cricket wasn't a huge thing. I mean, I remember playing a bit of bat and ball in the farm in Durban, but apart from that, it was predominantly rugby. Rugby athletics and all that. And then, I came to England and I joined a club because that's the best way to meet new people and best way for my parents to meet new people, and joined a cricket club, as well as a rugby club and a swimming club and everyone, because they were desperate for mates. And then, it just so happened that I was able to hit a ball. I was 10 years old and I was just slogging. I mean, not much has changed, but. I definitely found a love for it, but alongside it was my rugby, and that was a huge part of my kind of growing up, was my rugby side of things. Cricket was always there for a laugh, and I was good at cricket, and then rugby was kind of a passion.
So what drew you away from rugby to playing cricket professionally?
It was just a decision that had to be made. It was a decision that had to be made relatively early, about 16, 17. And just weighed up the pros and cons. I remember sitting down with my dad and just weighing up the pros and cons. It was like, you go into cricket where you're probably not going to get your neck broken, or you can go into rugby and have a short career. I was like, well, I'll choose cricket then. And thankfully it's worked out for the better. But it was just it wasn't quite as simple as a toss of the coin. There was a lot of thought into it, but had a lot of people giving me ideas, and cricket was the standout.
And 2019 was a big year for you both personally and professionally. You became a father in March. Congratulations. How do you juggle the intensity of the international cricket schedule alongside your personal life?
Well, it was awesome because she was born on the 20th of March. Almost messed that up. And for the first 3 or so months, I was consumed by travelling up and down the country playing cricket. So all the baby was just left to the wife. So it was actually pretty easy for me the first few months. She bared the brunt of it, unfortunately, and I'm still playing catch up now. I'm just like, here we go, here she is. But it's not easy. I've got my first stint away now. I leave on Saturday and I'm away for 3 months, so that's going to be my first proper stint away from. I'll miss the wife as well, but. I'll miss her a lot, but it's going to be interesting.
Do you have, in the coming year for 2020 and beyond, do you have any personal goals as a cricketer or as a team in general that you want to work towards?
I think just trying to be the best player I can possibly be in the professional side of things. And hopefully then that has like a butterfly effect on what's going on around me with kids growing up and clubs and charities or something like that, something that I can kind of have an influence on. If I can have an influence on, even if it's 10 kids, it's just incredible. It's an amazing feeling, and haven't quite thought about that yet. Hopefully got a few more years left in the game. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you have a 3-month tour coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any special routines that you go through as a team before a big match to prepare and get ready for it?
I don't think as a team we kind of have any routines or worry too much about that. I think everyone just joins up. I mean, you're kind of left to your own work. I mean, the boys came back from New Zealand before Christmas, and then we have Christmas and then the whole of January here at home, and it's up to us to train. So luckily I've done a little bit of training and not going to go back there massive, so I'll be all right. And then but I think we'll just you get together and you usually play a bit of football, but that's been ruined by one of my best mates. So I don't know what we're going to do now. Might actually have to play some cricket. So a lot of the kind of routines go with the individuals. I think batting and bowling, whether you do certain things and kind of, I don't know, there's just loads of routines you go through. Put your left pad on first before your right pad and all that rubbish.
Do you have any of those?
Yeah, I put my left pad on before my right pad. Rubbish. I'm that bloke. I never really used to, I didn't do it before the World Cup, but now we've won, I kind of have to do it. Yeah.
And you faced hundreds of thousands of balls over your career, but are there any bowlers in particular that stand out that you're not particularly keen to face?
Yeah, I was speaking to guys upstairs again, and anyone with the red ball seems to be pretty tough. But with the white ball, I think it's got to be Rashid Khan. He's a master. You never know which way it's spinning really until you've got used to him. So yeah, probably him.
And then looking forwards into the coming years, how do you see the future of Test cricket, and do you think it will survive its current form?
Yeah, definitely will. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about it turning into 4 days and that sort of rubbish. No, I don't agree with that. I think it should stay 5 days. I think you've seen the last 2 Test matches now for England have been defined by the final day. So yeah, I think the Test cricket's strong, especially here in England. I think we don't ever struggle to sell out a ground. I think every ground they play their Test matches at is pretty much sold out every single day. So it's a bit of an issue for other countries, but at the moment we seem to be all right.
And where do you see the English cricket team headed over the next few years?
Well, we've actually got quite a good nucleus in the one-day setup to lead us through till the following World Cup, 50-over World Cup. There's quite a lot of players that'll probably be. I'll be 33 in the next World Cup, which is perfect. So fingers crossed I can keep form, and a lot of the boys can keep form, and we might see quite a few of us again at that World Cup. But first and foremost, we've got the T20 World Cup at the end of this year. And yeah, just go from there. To be honest with you, why we've been successful as well is because we've taken it kind of tournament by tournament, series by series. Don't look too far ahead, worry about the process now, and know that it'll stand us in good stead later on down the line. Yeah.
And then my last question before we move to the audience for a bit is, I know you said you haven't thought about this much, but do you have any broad plans for what you'll do with life after cricket?
Yeah, I touched on it, but at the moment, not really. Just doing what I can around the game now, and see whether that opens up a couple of avenues. Properties always excites me as far as kind of the building and doing up houses. So I don't know. There's a few different avenues, but make that decision in 11 years' time, hopefully.
We'll move on to audience questions now. So if you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for the mic to come to you, and then stand up to ask your question. So does anyone have any questions?
Be nice.
Can we go to the hand?
How did you find your first exposure to Test match cricket, and do you have ambitions to try and break back into the side?
Yeah, I definitely want to break back into the side and play Test match cricket. It's glaringly obvious how it went, those 4 games. It was an eye-opener, massive eye-opener, something that I'm so grateful for. However, so excited to better myself in certain areas. It's quite exciting to try and push myself back into that team again. It's going to be quite difficult though, because I don't really have red ball games for Surrey to play and prove myself. So I'm going to have to do it by white ball runs again. So I'll wait, be patient.
I'm Australian, so I guess the closest thing to you
Next question.
for me is kind of an Aaron Finch, and it seems that you've both had a lot of white ball success, but you've made the transition into red ball cricket in a more haphazard way.
Yeah.
For a layman,
4 games.
what is it about the transition from white ball to red ball cricket that makes it so difficult?
Yeah, it's a great question. Something I haven't got the answer for that, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have got some runs. I found it so tough, mate. Going from winning that World Cup and then going straight into Test match cricket and opening the batting. I tried my best to adapt and learn on the job, but it was just too hard to do that, and my mind was kind of clouded by trying to learn too much on the job. It was just so now that I've done it, I'm able to go away, work on a few things, and hopefully if I get another chance, that next time will be a lot better. But yeah, I don't think there's any science behind it. I think it's just the way it is.
Is that, have you spoken to the ECB about how you all felt post-World Cup with regards to their plans for future series and having like just a bigger gap after the next big tournament? Or is that something you guys have discussed as a group? Just
I know,
of you have
you're saying,
discussed burnout.
How do we kind of pick ourselves up for a normal series after winning a World Cup? You just do your job. We've got to go out and do our job. Even more so now, more than ever. After winning a World Cup, we can't really rest up on having a bad series. We need to focus on every series, and just like we did the previous 4 years, and leading into that World Cup, every single series is a foundation block towards the bigger picture, being the World Cup. So that's exciting. At least a lot of the guys, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the guys are going to be together for the next World Cup. Obviously form plays a part, but hopefully we'll all be together. So it's now something for us to look forward to again. Yeah, and there's never an occasion when you're representing England where you're like, got to get up for this now. You wake up in the morning like, oh God, another game in front of thousands of people. Oh God, yeah. No, it's pretty easy to get up for.
During the Ashes, the ECB moved around quite a lot. You opened, you batted 4. Yeah. I was wondering, as a white ball specialist, do you feel better suited to the middle order, where the ball's lost a bit of shine, or would you rather stay as an opener? Where do you see yourself in middle cricket in terms of the order?
I think seeing myself as a successful Test cricketer, I'd have to be the middle order. You've seen now that being an opener is a very specialist thing. And like I said, I wasn't able to adjust quick enough to be an opener. If I maybe went away for a couple of years and worked on being an opener, then maybe. But I think currently, right now, that middle order would suit me a lot better.
So you talked about Rashid Khan, like how like he's a good bowler. Like if from the past you have to choose one bowler specifically you like to take on because like you really enjoy playing T20 and slugging the ball sometimes. Like if there's one bowler that you would like want to take on for T20 from the past, like who's retired or even playing now, who would you want to be?
It'll be a spinner again. It'll probably be Shane Warne. Yeah, being Australian as well, I'd love to take him down. Yeah, probably him. I think either him or you got all those fast bowlers in the past. The West Indian, although it would have probably hurt a lot playing that infamous West Indian team that were full of 95 mile an hour bowlers, would have been sore but fun, good experience. But yeah, probably Shane Warne. Nah, he'll be alright. He's alright. Yeah, he'll be pretty scary.
Can we go to the hand over there?
So with the 100 coming up, what's your opinion on that? Because it's obviously going to be good for you.
Yeah.
But do you think it will have...
Us sloggers? Or, yeah.
Stroke player.
Yeah, very good.
Do you think it will have any impact on the future of Test cricket as well?
Great question. I think only time will tell whether it's got an impact on Test cricket. I don't know anything about that, but I think that it'll be good for the country to see a bit of cricket on terrestrial TV and to see the names we've got over here. The names that are put forward, the calibre of players, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be huge. And they've marketed it extremely well, so I really do hope it's a success, because all around the world you've got these T20 competitions, T10 that have taken off, and we don't really have that. We don't have it's not franchised, I know, but it's a bit more kind of to that way. So I really hope it takes off just for grassroots and all that sort of thing.
Can we go to the hand in the third row?
Did you have any role models growing up? And did you have any role models of opening batsmen who you wanted to emulate and try to match their career? Or
Yeah, good question. I think, like I touched on earlier, about not really watching a huge amount of the game when I was growing up. Never had role models that I ever looked up to and was like, I want to be like him one day. Or there was probably not one, there was probably more like 10 that you kind of go, wow, love what he does, or love what he does, and there was just loads of them. And even today, I wouldn't say that there's someone I want to be like. I want to be as successful as some people, but I don't want to be. You want to be the best version of yourself, don't you? Always. I mean, everything is a horrible cliche, but yeah, there's no one that I kind of. No. Sorry. Pretty simple answer there.
So in the final against New Zealand, there was some controversy around, when the game was tied, and there were these technicalities that were revealed to the world that a lot of cricket fans even didn't know that you could win by the number of boundaries and all that. So I'm sure the New Zealand fans were quite upset about that. But as a player and a successful influencer in the sport, what do you think could have been done differently or in the future or do you think it was a fair outcome, or how to make it more fair? Because I mean, in other sports like football, it's quite quite straightforward.
Penalty shootout. We could have a penalty shootout. Yeah, we could do something like that. I don't know, mate, to be honest. I think at that current time, the rules are the rules. I don't know how we'd change it. I don't know what we'd do, because the super over is even a stretch as well, isn't it? So the game was long enough with a super over. We didn't have to do anything after that. It's a great question, and they're probably the best team to play against for that result and the way it went about, because they could have easily been very sour, and I mean, a lot of the fans obviously are a bit sour about it, and that's fair enough. But as players, they're so humble, and they understand that they're the rules, and unfortunately they're on the other side of it, and it could have easily swayed throughout the whole game. We were very lucky throughout the whole game, but I don't know. What do you reckon?
Well, I just think
idea.
If they could have they could have kept going,
So like a super 5 overs.
I'm sorry?
Like a super 5 overs.
Yeah, a super 5 over.
Oh,
I think it would have been, a little bit less based on technicality, but still, you deserve the win.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, mate.
Could we go to the hand over there? Actually, I know you've been waiting for a while.
Did you ever have any doubt about fulfilling your potential as a professional cricket player at one point of your life, or did you have any thoughts when you were a teenager or during your career?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely double question myself as a professional cricketer. Not as anything else really, but yeah, professional, I don't know, it was kind of, like I was saying at the start there, one of the questions I felt like a bit of an imposter, and I didn't feel like I was actually not worthy enough to be there, but I just didn't feel like that was where I needed to be there and then. So there's loads of doubts. Most series, if you have a failure or 3 failures in a row, you'd go to your mind automatically, it's such a powerful thing, goes, or what do you do next? Like, how am I going to get a run? Or maybe I'm not going to get a run. And then you visualize, you're going to bed that night and the bowler the next day is getting you out 5 times. You're like, you have to go for a cold shower and get yourself together and, I don't know, maybe watch some YouTube clips of when you've actually scored runs and stuff like that. I'm not saying I've done that. I definitely have. But that sort of thing, and it happens so often. It happens in most series. If you're going through a rough patch, you have to find that inner motivation to actually tell yourself, actually, you are good enough. But yeah, that happened a lot at the start of my career. It's changed a bit more now that I've proved myself a bit more, but still got a long way to go.
Could we go to the hand at the very back?
So recently we've seen Surrey players like Ollie Pope, Dom Sibley, Sam Curran and Roy Burns obviously have success in the Test team. Yeah. What do you think it is about the Surrey setup that has produced so many successful cricketers?
Great question. Lucky I've had a warm-up there. I think our academy setup, all the way from even under 14s at club cricket, around the Surrey, around the county, are amazing. So any sort of talent around schools or clubs, Surrey are quite quick to grab hold of them and help them out and point them in the right direction, not just as cricketers but just as people, helping them, educate them and stuff like that. I think our academy setup's amazing. There's a lot of players coming through now that, fingers crossed, will be the next big thing as well. So there's just I think our grassroots is impressive.
Could we go to the hand over there?
Do you think the more international cricket games should be broadcast on free-to-air TV as opposed to paid channels like Sky Sports?
Yeah. Yeah, plain and simply, mate. I think you've seen the magnitude of the World Cup final, how much it's gripped the nation. Helped that we won, obviously, but nonetheless, it was just amazing to see so many more people, especially young cricketers and young people that didn't know a huge amount about cricket, being exposed to that. I think it's hugely beneficial across the world, really.
We heard a lot about the England team culture being changed after the 2015 World Cup's disappointment. Mm-hmm. Making batting more, free-flowing, attacking. Can you talk us a little bit about the culture change and whether that's true of the Test setup as well?
Yeah, I was never a part of the side pre-2015, so it's been quite easy for me coming into the 2015 team, and the culture was just there straight from the start. It wasn't something that we sat down and spoke about. No one we didn't have a meeting and just be like, right, we're going to be honest, we're just going to go out and smash it everywhere and just do that. We I think Owen Morgan and that hierarchy did an incredible job of building a team based on not only people but the way we play. So each individual is a very honest guy, trains extremely hard, doesn't shy away from confrontation, and just really enjoys each other's company and playing. And I think as soon as we started doing that for the first year, it was a new thing, so everyone was a bit kind of, is this going to work or not? And we failed a lot, but we managed to keep going, keep playing the same way, and we backed ourselves and we stuck to our guns and we worked hard for the next few years. But that culture, it's quite hard to explain the culture because it just happened. It wasn't something that was forced upon. But like I said, I think it's just all because we got that good group of people together. And the Test side have done a similar thing. They've bred some youngsters now. They've got a good nucleus of youngsters and older players. So yeah, fingers crossed they go in the same direction.
We saw Rabada get banned this last Test, and obviously there were the comments from Butler a few Tests ago. There's a lot of talk in the Ashes and stuff about sledging. Is it something you enjoy or ever get affected by, or do you think there's a problem with it at all?
I don't think there's a problem with it. I think there's obviously a time and a place, and I've spoken about it, about Joss's situation, that the directors or the TV people in charge there should have probably just turned the mics off. They knew the situation was escalating. You could see Joss was upset for what Vernon did. Just turn the mics off. I think that it's hard to tell a professional sportsman rein your emotions in, especially when you work so hard for a victory, and emotions are high. You're kind of not red mist, but you got that white line fever. So I don't think there's anything wrong with sledging. Me personally, I've never been affected to the point where I'll go and tell the match referee or the umpires, "Oh, this guy's sledging. Come on, like help me out." Like it's a bit pathetic, but I think it should be a part of the game, and that's just what it is. I mean, bowlers do it to batsmen all the time, get under your skin, and they play a rash shot and get out. I mean, it's just always been a part of the game. And although what happened with Josh there, obviously it's not great for youngsters watching and stuff, but it makes for pretty good TV, doesn't it? and it's gripping because you go, oh, gee, like this is actually very serious, or whatever. But yeah, I think with Rabada's situation, that's a completely different thing. That's just a accumulation of demerits and bad behaviour. It's just a guy with raw passion. We've seen it with numerous players. So unfortunately, can't comment on it as being a current player. But that's passion. It's all passion.
A few years ago, I was playing in a club game against one of your Surrey teammates, Amar Verdi, and he spun the ball back from about a yard outside our captain's off stump to bowl him first ball whilst he was leaving. So my question to you is, what's the most embarrassing way you've ever been out?
Yeah, good question. Embarrassing. I mean, they're all pretty embarrassing. When you're walking back for naught, I think that's embarrassing. I haven't got a particular moment, to be honest, that I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, walking out there, actually, not embarrassing, but my international 50-over debut, I got a first baller. Did all my preparations, worked hard. Right, Trent Bolt, who I'm friends with now, weirdly. I shouldn't be, should I? But all this kind of work on the ball swinging into me, and he bowled a floaty, straight, half volley, outside off stump, and I just clothed it straight to point, and I walked off, and it felt like I was hit by a bus. I was like, holy... Yeah, I can't, sorry. And I was just like, whoa, this is tough. That was probably the hardest pill to swallow.
Could we go to the hand right behind?
How's Jason? You spoke about being the best version of yourself. So I was wondering, how's the bowling coming along? And do you ever put your hand up to try break a partnership if it's going on?
100% partnership breaker, known for it at Surrey, much to the actual bowlers' dislike. But I used to be a bowler. I used to academy and stuff, open the bowling, and bowl a couple of heavy balls. But then my side gave way, and I wasn't willing to go through the pain. I was happy enough to just stand there and whack it, rather than going through the pain of being a bowler. So I think those days are behind me now. I'm over the hill with my bowling side of things, so might have to roll out some dusty off spin or something like Gale does a few times or something like that.
Can we go to the hand right?
On the flip side of an earlier question, is there a favourite shot or like a favourite like type of shot that you've played? I think one that sticks out for me is the one up in the commentary box against Australia, the sort of lofted on drive. Yeah,
I think any six you hit, if you hit a bowler for a six, then you hit him for another six, and then you hit him for another one. That anything you've done there, that's an incredible feeling. You can't beat that. The ramp shot, that's probably the best one, because you leave the bowler thinking like, what do I do now? Like, this is ridiculous. This is unfair. It's a batter's game. All this rubbish. But I don't know. I think if a bowler's running in, sprinting in, bowling as fast as they can, and you just flick them for six, or you just hit them over the head for six, it's what you play for, really. It's nice.
Was there ever a time where you thought you needed to completely change your batting style?
Yeah, and I've changed it over the years many times, little small things. Started my career just standing leg side of it and just hitting through the line. Then I triggered across and started playing more leg side. There's been, I would say, 4 standouts where I've gone, okay, need to work on different things, need to do this differently, you're always adapting, because bowlers are adapting, slower balls, and spinners are bowling these ridiculous hidden deliveries, which is illegal. So I think you've just got to adapt as a batsman. I think you're always changing. Not necessarily whole technique, but mindsets and stuff like that. But now I've got to, for the past 3 years, I reckon, my first year of international cricket, I stood leg side of it and tried to hit it. But then bowlers start bowling 90 mile an hour, and I got hit in the head by Rabada and realised that I need to work on the short ball. And then change my trigger completely. So I was better on the short ball. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I was just wondering, what is the sort of most important lesson that you've learnt from playing cricket at such a high level?
Playing cricket, I don't know, I think the last 2 years more so, that coming back and playing for your county or speaking to people about the game, that your voice matters. I think I was able to speak quite freely about it. I'm quite an open person, so it just, I don't know, I guess speaking freely and making sure that I get my opinion across to people, because it will benefit them. Sometimes I think to myself, when a kid asks me a question, like, I'm like, I was that kid like yesterday. It seems like, anyway. And I feel sometimes that no one wants to hear my voice or hear my opinion, but now I've got to the point now where I just say it now. And to know or to notice that it's got such a big impact is the most incredible feeling. Not sure I answered your question properly there, but yeah, sorry.
Could we go to the hand in the blue jumper?
So you've talked about the intense training that you have to do to be a cricketer, including sort of the physical side, but being out of the crease or on the pitch for hours on end, presumably there's a great mental strain as well. So I'm wondering, and in terms of sort of boosting your mental fitness, is there any mental training that you do alongside the physical training to be a professional cricketer?
Yeah, good question. I mean, short answer, not really specifically mental side of things. I think sometimes you'll have long nets where you'll bat for an hour and a half. And because it's so intense and it's ball after ball after ball, you don't have any rest in between. It's kind of like batting for 50 overs or 3 hours or 4 hours. But I think every single bit of kind of your training, being methodical, I think, like me personally, I'm quite methodical. If I go into the gym, I know I've got to do that, and then I'll slowly improve that, and it's like a building block. I think that's simple as that. I think everything we do, we've always got a competitive nature, always want to be the best, but that strain, being out there for that long period, it's hard to train for that, I think. We don't do that.
So with recently, Imran Khan became Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
So do you feel cricketers should exercise their influence in the arena of politics and commenting on the socio-economic, social-cultural situation of the country, or cricketers should just remain cricketers?
Well, I definitely shouldn't. I should remain a cricketer. I do not know what's going on. I think with Imran Khan, I think for Pakistan, he's going to do an incredible job. He's already done an incredible job with the PSL now going back to Pakistan and cricket being played back in Pakistan again, and ensuring cricketers' safety and the security being good. And I think the public in Pakistan have really got behind him because he is Imran Khan. He is that character. But I don't think in Western countries, I think you just don't quite have that level of kind of, I don't know what the word is, but you don't have that level of authority. Like, no one really, if I go into the House of Parliament, I'm like, they'll be like, shut up, mate. Like, you're just a cricketer, just stick to that, mate. But I think in certain countries, definitely.
Just on the stuff with the Aussies ball tampering scandal, what's your opinion on that? And do you think that the people involved should have been banned for life, or that it was all right that they came back?
They shouldn't. They shouldn't have done it. Like, obviously, they served their time, and the powers that be gave them a kind of. They pushed them aside for that year. I think it was a year. Was it? It was a year, and they served their time, and they did it with kind of humility, and they just went about their business. But I don't know. I'm in no position. Like I said, I'm just a cricketer to speak about what sort of punishment they should have had. I do think if you're willing to do it like they did it, quite maliciously, then you've got to accept your kind of repercussions.
Which partnerships that you've been involved in has been your least favourite and favourite for both club and country?
Great question. I don't think I've ever had a least favourite or any partnership I've thought, I can't believe I'm walking out to bat with this bloke. I think any time where you just walk out there and after the power play, 10 overs or 6 overs, you're none down and you've got plenty on the board is pretty cool. I remember that period I went through that I was saying about not giving up the game, but just kind of shouldn't have been there. It was during the Sri Lanka series, and Halesy and myself, Alex Hales and myself, chased down, I think it was 250 or 260 with no wickets. That'll probably stand out as my favourite moment as an opening batsman, purely because of the position I was in mentally, in that mental space, working so hard the day before and then the morning of the game, and then going out and doing that. That'll be my favourite. Yeah, no unfavourites.
In recent years, we've seen some really positive steps forward for women's cricket, and it's an exciting time to be playing the game. So as an example, there's a standalone Women's World Cup that will be played later this year. In countries such as Australia, women all of a sudden can play cricket full-time, whereas in the past that some of them had to pay to play. Yeah. We're seeing a lot more broadcasting of women's cricket, and some games are being played in front of packed-out stadiums. Yeah. On the flip side of that, I think there's still a lot of room for improvement in terms of levelling the playing field. So as an example, even when women do get paid to play, there's still a significant pay gap that exists. Yeah. There are lots of UK females that don't get paid, even at a county level. Yeah. And I think at historical grounds such as Lords, there are few, if any, female fixtures that are played there. Yeah. So I'm wondering, I guess, what you think about the future of women's cricket, what you think about these gaps that still exist, and how you think that we might be able to level out the playing field moving forward.
Well, yeah, like you've just said, we've as ECB and just ICC, they've put in the right steps already, haven't they? And so they should have. I think you've seen some incredible cricketers playing all around the world now, and it's way more in the spotlight, like it should be, and it's amazing to see. But yeah, I mean, you said it all there. Really, it was I don't know what they're going to do about the whole pay gap. I think that's going to be an interesting one, because then they'll have to go through viewership and tickets sold and how many people are actually there at the stadiums. Like you said, there's packed out stadiums. As long as it's a regular occurrence, then I think that's fair enough. So, yeah, don't want to speak too much about it. But no, I agree with you that it's in the right direction.
What was the reaction sort of privately in the England camp a few months ago to the Sun story concerning Ben Stokes' mother and all that?
What was the reaction?
Yeah.
Yeah, no good. It's heartbreaking, really. Even like thinking about it now, it's just disgusting. I don't know who it was or who thinks that they've got the right to put that out into the world is a horrible person, really. I think it's there's no space for it. There's too much negativity. There's plenty of things they could have said positively, but unfortunately, that's what would have sold copies, isn't it? So, yeah, no good.
You mentioned Alex Hales a moment ago.
Yeah.
One of the things that was cited when he was unfortunately left out of the World Cup squad was a lack of trust.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering what you would think he would have to do in order to earn that trust back and perhaps make his way back into the England squad. Yeah,
I mean, just score away to runs. Just keep scoring runs and being successful like he's doing, like any other person does. I mean, he made a mistake, clearly. But the only way he's going to get back in is to score away to runs. And he's been doing that a bit, so who knows what's going to happen.
How important do you think it is that a team gets on off the field? Sort of the England teams in the past, sort of the turn of the decade, achieved quite a lot of success whilst still having sort of acrimony off the field. Have you played in a squad that sort of had sort of internal tensions, and has that sort of manifested itself in worse performances on the pitch?
I've heard that it has. Like I said, I was not part of that pre-2015 stuff. So from then onwards, I've been very, very fortunate to play with a bunch of guys that I'd go for a beer with all of them, apart from Woody, Rash and Mo, obviously. But yeah, I'd go for a drink with every single one of the boys, and I've been so lucky that that's gone from Surrey stuff through to international. And when I first came on the scene, when I was younger, I never really took notice of all that kind of outside noise. I had enough going on with your own game. But some people like that sort of animosity, and I just stay out of it, to be honest. But from what I've heard, there has been moments where players don't get on, and that leads to downfalls of. But yeah, having such a strong unit as blokes off the field and team building moments where we all get along is massive.
So you talked like about PSL, for example. I wanted to ask you specifically, how do you compare the standard at PSL to the other leagues, because there's so many leagues going around. And one more thing like about is PSL coming to be played, like the whole franchise is going to be played in Pakistan this year. What do you think about that initiative? Like, is it better for the players overseas especially, or like should they be playing it like half like in Dubai and then doing the finals again in Pakistan? What do you think about that?
Well, no, you're just told where to play. I've been told to go to Pakistan. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I went there for a couple of days and loved my time there. And it's fortunate now that cricket's going back there, because it's one of the parts of the world that I've not been able to travel to. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I think they've done an incredible job there. Sorry, what was your previous, the first question? Oh, the standard, yeah. No, the standards, all the standards around the whole world, they've all got different kind of pros and cons. But I think with the PSL, you've just got some young, raw cricketers that bowl quick, and you've got guys that you've obviously a lot have never heard of. And it's amazing to see the way they're kind of funded and pushed by all these companies. So it's hard to compare standards and say which one is best and which one's worse, because I mean they're all very high standard. You see all the overseas players playing in it, and it's still a very, very high standard.
Could we go here for the final question?
No pressure.
This summer we saw the huge rise of Marnus Abhishek.
Yeah.
And watching interviews with all the Aussies, he's clearly incredibly bizarre bloke. They all call him like a massive snuffy, like very superstitious with his pads and everything. I was wondering, firstly, have you had any chats with him off the field? And is he as weird as he would claim? And secondly, who is the most eccentric cricketer you've ever met in the international scene?
Jeez. Yeah, Marnus has a lot going on out there when he's batting as well. He got under our skin definitely because we couldn't get him out, and same as Smith. I think on the field, Smith is definitely the most eccentric I've seen as a batsman. I think he's just the way he goes about things, his leaves, his exuberant leaves. Don't know whether that's mind games or anything like that. Eccentric off the field. I think one of my good mates, Jade Dernbach, he's got to be the biggest extrovert. Kind of, he wears his heart on his sleeve, that's for sure. But yeah, those two, Marnus and Steve, they're definitely they seem to love the game the most, I think.
Is Mark Wood the funniest?
100%. And bizarre, yeah. He doesn't touch a drop of alcohol, yet he'll be the drunkest bloke on the night out. And he's extremely funny. But again, he's just such a good character to have around because he's himself. He doesn't hide behind any rubbish. He speaks his mind and he enjoys himself, and and you always know where you stand with him. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, but please join me in thanking Jason.